I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Wednesday, November the 13th. Coming to you here from the Bunkhouse at the Ellison Carter Cattle Company headquarters here in Santo, Texas, and had a good visit there on Tuesday night with Ellison and Renee, and very hospitable and excited about on Wednesday going to get to go by and check out the facilities there, the shipping facilities, and different kind of orders on the cattle that he's shipping this time of year, and just nice to be able to run around the country and visit with people that you know around and talk about old times. And he was a shipper that used to do business with my dad, and for those of you that have lost your father and your mentor, and it's been a while, it's nice to be able to go back and talk to people that knew him and used to trade, and just a very enjoyable time. But I want to talk to you about what's going on here the middle part of this week. Fake kids meal. Isn't that great? Burger King, which has been the biggest proponent of fake meat, fake beef in our fast food restaurants. They've made their entire name out of exploiting America's love for hamburgers and real beef, and now they've fallen into this fake meat deal and just can't get done talking about it or promoting it. You can't watch a football game or anything without having a commercial on there reminding you that people are eating some kind of a fake mash and trying to pretend that it's beef. Now they've began to make a Whopper Junior out of a fake patty. Wow, isn't that a novel idea? Just make it a little bit smaller. But the heck of it is, that's the same burger that goes into the kids' meals. You know, it's bad enough if you people want to try to fool yourselves into eating beef instead of just not eating beef if you choose not to eat it, but trying to fool yourself into not eating it. But now you got to force it upon your kids. Kids, you know, I love that song, you know, God bless the children while they're still too young to hate. You know, the kids, they grow up natural like you're supposed to. Have you ever seen a video or remember watching a kid eating bacon for the first time? They know what they're supposed to eat. You watch a kid eating a good burger, a good cheeseburger for the first time, they know what they're supposed to eat. Give a kid his first bite of a juicy steak, they know what it is. Now, do that same kid, try to feed him some kind of a piece of maybe lettuce, just dry lettuce, or maybe a carrot or a radish or something. See how you get along there. And we know that the processing and the ingredients in most of that fake meat or fake beef is exactly like dog food. And we've had people, unbiased people, professors from out in California tell us that it's just almost exactly like dog food, and not this new dog food that the yuppies want to feed to their dogs that has all true meat and no grains. I mean, we're in a world right now where people are consciously trying to make decisions to feed their pets real meat and feed themselves and their family and their children fake. It's unbelievable, and just sit back and think about that for a minute. But on Tuesday there, was able to go for DV Auction and take bids on the Ford Ranch Dispersal. You know, it's a bad deal when you have an old ranch that's been together for a long time and it disperses and they end up having to sell out. But you know, they had some good, they were commercial cattle, but red Angus with a lot of AB Brown genetics there. But it was nice to see there was a lot of bidding activity taken on there. Tell you guys right now, these bred cows are a buy. And if you guys don't believe it, they are absolutely a buy. But you see some people coming in to be able to buy some genetics and buy some history there off the Ford Ranch. We sold a lot of cows off of there. It's mostly all females, just a handful of bulls there at the end. But those first calf bred heifers there bring $1,750 for the most part. Your 2-year-old heifers there bred bring $2,000. They didn't have any 3-year-olds because that's when they actually sold the ranch off. They ended up leasing it back and being able to run it for a few more years there, but they didn't have any 3-year-olds heifers because they didn't keep any back then. But they had a big long string of 4-year-old heifers, and they bring 2150. Some of those short and solid mouth red Angus commercial cows bring 8.5. That's a pretty good market there, and if you guys don't believe it, open your eyes, pay attention, and look around, because there's going to be a lot of big dispersals coming up, a lot of bred cow specials and things. That we have been killing off our cows like crazy, and we've been feeding and slaughtering way more heifers than normal the last few years, so these numbers are going to get tight. I was talking on Tuesday night there with Shaylee Stewart from up in Montana. She's a young market analyst, and I tell you what, doing a good job and trying hard and learning a lot about the industry. And you give her a listen there. She's working with DTN some now, and works with U.S. Cattlemen's Association. She's doing a good job there, and she was showing me that she was running some numbers on this. She's like, this can't be right. So far this year, we've slaughtered 11% more heifers than we did a year before. And I said, yeah, that's right. Isn't it unbelievable to slaughter that many more heifers? Actually, our steer slaughter's been down a little bit, but our heifer slaughter's been way up. And I've been preaching to you guys the last few weeks about how much of this cow harvest, older cow harvest, has increased. It's astronomically high, record high. And it's all from the big push on these trimmings. I'll tell you what, we're seeing big push in our beef values, and it's not our middle meats, it's not your ribeyes and things like that. Yes, they're selling well and they're high, but the big push on the higher market is your end cuts and your trimmings. We just have unbelievable demand for that. A lot of that coming from the African swine fever, and now we're hearing that that African swine fever can be carried in some of that meat. Now, it's not going to hurt you and I, but it can be carried on if some porcine out there, some swine gets exposed to that. It could carry on. And mark my words, it's going to get to North America. We can't stop it. We can't stop it. It's all over Asia now. Every day you hear that it's gone into a new part of Asia. And we hate to be the gainers off of the pork people's troubles, but you might want to have some cattle whenever that deal outbreaks, because it's going to go up gangbusters. We're starting to see it come into our retail meat market. But that's a bad deal, but that's the way of the world, and I just don't think that we can stop it. That African swine fever is some bad stuff now, but it doesn't hurt you and I, and we can still even eat the meat or the pork. I mean, let's talk about the board on Tuesday. December live cattle futures down 12 cents at 119.75. February down a dime at 125.57. November feeder cattle up 22 cents at 147.80, and January unchanged at 147.12. So not a lot of big movement going on in the board, just kind of hanging in there about right. Your fat cattle market, they're just starting to dip their toes in it, and we haven't seen really anything. The only thing I saw confirmed was in Iowa was a load at 183 dressed, and then that would be higher, but just one load, so it doesn't drop really enough to talk about, but I just talked about it. Did hear from some guys in the country up in Nebraska that they had call-in bids at 181. Well, if the majors are calling in at 181, we can feel rest assured we're going to get higher again this week. They were largely at 181 last week, and your regionals were at 182. So we can sure expect, unless we see a tank in the board here middle to late week or something else happen, we can gain another buck or two in there, and you guys stay hooked and do the best you can. Box beef cutout values soared again. Monday they didn't do too much, pulled back a little bit after the huge week last week, but come back in on Tuesday, getting into the meat of the trade. Choice cuts Tuesday afternoon up 191 at 240.50. Selects sharply higher at up 254 at 216.23. Talk about your feeder cattle markets. Your real-time index ended the day on Tuesday at 145.57. actually up 45 cents. And that's a big gain with as much volume as we've got in there right now, with all these big numbers moving. To be up on an index value up through the middle 12 states, preceding your cash feeder cattle index from CME, that is a big move, 45 cents. And you think, why? You know, the board wasn't up or anything. We had a lot of premium sales on Tuesday. I'm going to give you several of them, but a lot of those premium sales in the northern plains, some really good sales in the Midwest. I'm going to tell you guys several quotes from them. Philip the Giant had a big sale. I pulled it during the sale. They were still selling cattle, but on through our market system, you can pull that now while they're still selling and at least get a test of what's going on. Look at this market report here. Near 7,000 head had sold, and they were still selling. I had like 11,000 last week. I tell you, that's why I call them Philip the Giant. They sell huge runs of cattle, guys. Look at these best tested weights of steer calves. 1,800 head of 5-weight steer calves, average 560 at 158.38. 1,704 head of 6-weight steer calves, average 638 at 156.36. Ozarks Regional Stockyard, West Plains, Missouri. They had a good sale there, and they had some more of those Gardner Farm cattle out of Arkansas. I tell you what, that's the way you test the market. But they had a big long string of them, 228 head of them, and these guys background a lot of cattle. 228 head of them, weigh 880 at 151. Last week they had 228 head, weighed 901 at 147.60. So they were only 21 pounds lighter and less than $2 a head difference. So that would be a higher market. Not a lot higher, but some higher, and it's going in the right direction. Kingsville Livestock Auction, Kingsville, Missouri, your west central Missouri's foremost auction market. Is just south and east of Kansas City, a little ways there, but Kingsville had a big, nice long string. The Nouse cattle from Knob Noster, Missouri, 153 head of 762-pound yearling steers, 159. I was talking to my friend Jimmy Long. I said, tell me about those cattle. He said they were nice. Were they all black? No, he said there was a few reds on them, a few black-nosed Charolais. They were put together cattle. Guys, you think you can't attain these big prices? I talk about these one iron calves and things like that. You can attain that if you choose to do so. If you're a grower, a backgrounder of cattle, buy light calves, keep them good, keep them like kind and where they look like one another, and keep them together for a long time. He said the hair on those cattle was outstanding. Wasn't too much fill on them, wasn't too much flesh. They just grew the cattle together. The cattle have been together for a long time. Sell them when there's not many yearlings around. You can get a top price on them. How about Unionville, Missouri? Unionville Livestock Market, they had some more of those Rockin' R cattle in there, and they'd have those every few weeks, and I tell you what, they top the market every time. 2 loads of those Rockin' R steers from Lucerne, Missouri. One weighed 854, another load weighed 869. They bring 151.10 and 150.75 in north central Missouri. How about Creighton, Nebraska? Creighton Livestock Market, 108 head of 873-pound steers, 163. That's your feeder flash for Wednesday.